That's what they do. They want to know from me, what are you going to do about this, and what can you do about it? So that's the difference. That's what happens. You can sit here all day long and point out all the things that are wrong with the current administration. And people say, well, okay, you're on top of it, but what are you going to do about it? What are you going to do about it? For example, one of my chief solutions is you can solve a whole lot of problems by simply finding a new city manager. You can get rid of many of the most pressing problems in Savannah, Georgia's government right now by finding someone to competently manage the city. Because many of the issues affecting us now, it starts at the top. It's not a street level thing that rises, it starts at the top. And in some cases, the problem not only starts at the top, but it ends at the top. Especially when you talk about things like all the things that are wrong with the police department. The police department is under the control of the city manager. The police chief answers to the city manager. And if the city manager does not know how to manage a police department, if she's clearly out of her depth, then it starts to break down at the top. And if you'll ask any cop, and you'll have to ask them off the record, because they can't publicly talk about these things because they're scared of losing their jobs. And this includes the majors. You don't see the majors of the Savannah-Chatham County Police Department running around Savannah, Georgia, making public statements because they're all scared of losing their jobs. They're scared to death of a city manager whose method of management is to intimidate and to scare and to hold your job over your head. And that is why you're not hearing from the police except from the chief, and the chief also answers to the city manager. The city manager has no history, training, or experience in dealing with law enforcement. She doesn't even speak the language. How can you manage that which you do not understand? And if you ask any cop on the thin blue line, they will tell you they want Stephanie Cutter gone. She cannot do the job. She cannot learn on the job. And it was abundantly clear in the method in which she handled the Willie Lovett affair. The city manager had to go out and at a great expense to the public had to hire an outside independent agency to come down here and tell her what she should have already known. It took a year to conduct the investigation. And when they laid the results in front of her, most of the issues they brought up have never been addressed, dealt with, or fixed. The only issue that was fixed was Willie Lovett, and we sent the chief to prison. And a lot of people go, well, the system works and good for them and they're cracking down, and yes, well, here's the problem with that. Mayor Edna Jackson, in her State of the City address this year, 2015, February, stood up in front of the people in Savannah, Georgia, and she said, you know, the situation at the police department was the result of problems that had been going on from years that we ignored. We, she said, meaning City Council, had been ignoring the problems at the police department for years. Edna Jackson has been on City Council 16 years. By her own admission, she ignored the situation that culminated with the firing of Willie Lovett and sending him to prison. Well, he wasn't fired, should have been, resigned. Willie Lovett is in prison, and only because Willie quit. Do you understand that if Willie Lovett had not quit, he would still be police chief today, because they were never going to prosecute him. They knew what he was doing. They allowed him to do it. And that is why I say to you, we are broken in places that this crowd cannot fix. They know, and we're now, this is the first week of June, we're still down about 100 cops on the force. We're still light. Some people say 70, some say as much as 100. Try to get the truth out of this administration and good luck. Here's the larger point. Go and talk to the new hires that we're adding on and ask them what their plan is. A lot of them will tell you, and again, only off the record, they'll tell you that they got this job in Savannah because right now Savannah will hire just about anybody. They need to fill the ranks. But these officers only plan to stay there for a couple of years until they can apply at another department that pays more money for less work, less stress. For example, Pooler. Pooler pays better than we do, and let's face it, it's a lot easier to be a cop on the beat of Pooler than Savannah.